Go ahead.
I'm Chip Phillips, and I'm the founder of Constructiv AI. I spent over 10 years selling construction materials in the lumber and building materials industry, LBM for short. And during that time, I watched high-quality sales reps spend their afternoons typing numbers into spreadsheets instead of calling on customers. They weren't lazy, the process was broken, and nobody had fixed it. That's what Constructiv AI does. This quote is from Rick Davis, who's considered the leading sales trainer in the lumber and building materials industry. He's spoken at virtually every conference over the last 20 years, and he published this article earlier this month. The industry's leading voice on the subject just told every dealer to stop bidding and start proposing. And that's the problem we aim to fix. We're not inventing this problem. The leading voice of the industry just sounded the alarm for us. Now let me show you a little bit about that problem workflow. In the lumber and building materials industry, you're part of a two-step supplier distribution. Dealers typically distribute through preferred supplier contracts, and every opportunity starts with a new construction project. A builder or a GC reaches out to their suppliers, subcontractors, and typically notifies them of the opportunity for the project and engages their interest in bidding. Once accepted, the builder sends a PDF of the plans, typically to the sales rep, who then begins the tedious process of estimating the actual quantity and quality of the materials needed for the project, which is a major benefit to that general contractor or builder. Once those numbers are known, the rep then reaches out to their suppliers, requesting multiple bids from typically a single takeoff. The rep then waits, receives back his bids, determines which one that he wants to go with for that project, and then manually enters in that bid into their Excel or an ERP format, which is their computer system. Once those numbers are put together, they're sent to the GC or the contractor and wait to hear back from approval. The proposal assembly, usually if it happens, is about 2 to 3 hours to take those raw numbers and go from more than just a bid, but to a professional project proposal, often deferred by the sales rep overall. So meaning that by the time these guys are done for the day, and it's a unique industry in the fact that it's a blue-collar sales role that has lots of white-collar responsibilities. This being one of them. So after a long day, the guy comes back, he's finally got his quotes back, decides, hey, this is the numbers we're going to go with, painstakingly keys them into the system, and then before they head out, send the email. Hey, here are your numbers. Now that process is one that I identify early on as being a key breakdown in our ability to service new customers and also defend our current customers by becoming more than just a price or number on a bid. Here's what we built to fix it. Now that on the right is an actual proposal from Wilson Lumber out of the tool that we're building right now, and we'll talk more about them pretty soon. With our system, the supplier rep uploads the PDFs, use AI to extract the information, let them organize that information, add scope details, and then with the click of a button, organize it into a professional business proposal for that project specifically. Optionally, they have the option to generate a PowerPoint presentation that's based off that proposal, giving them another point of communication, and whether it's a virtual or in-person presentation, being able to quickly generate that for them. So the value of this is around 85 to 90% time savings. It's going from 2 to 3 hours to down to about 15 minutes. The idea is we're sending more proposals and having more time for proposals, better follow-up, but also increasing the value of the supplier relationship with the builder by giving it to them in a format that they can ingest, understand, and feel confident about the relationship. The market opportunity sits at about 12,500 specialty dealers across the country. The SAM of this our target in this market is going to be the independent dealers, not your national dealers, but the independent dealers, which equates to about an $84 million service addressable market at the time. And our target for that is about 75 dealers by year 3, with a target of about 1.8 million ARR. We're looking for our ideal customer profile is a dealer that's anywhere from 1 to 15 locations. Someone that's doing 5 to 80 to $100 million a year. And in those locations has anywhere from 5 to 10 sales reps. Typically, these organizations are large, but every location typically acts almost independent of the other at this level of business. Now, from the competition standpoint, nobody owns this proposal layer today. Construction tech has recently popped up over the last 10 years, but the lumber and building material industry is still relatively fresh. There's a couple companies, one being Toolbox, that is focused on the e-commerce side of the business, and SalesJack is more focused on the sales lead opportunity. But no one's addressing the proposal layer right now. So traction. This opportunity came about after being reached out to by Wilson Lumber. And to tell you about Wilson Lumber, they were the 2025 National Dealer of the Year in the $100 to $200 million category for the lumber and building materials industry. They're considered a leader in that industry and an innovator as well. They reached out after connecting with them in the past, after seeing what I was doing today. And through that conversation, we identified that this was still a major bottleneck for not only their business, but the industry as a whole. They had a $40 million commercial construction division in their business that is managed by 2 sales reps today. And those reps spend, going back to that time slide, weeks preparing these numbers, getting them into an Excel format, and then once everything's compiled, print and send this Excel PDF to these guys. It's confusing, it's hard to work through, and it doesn't represent the quality of their business. Right now, our contract with them is in the process. We're in the process of engineering that product with the target go live date of the end of March. The results so far have been a workflow reduction from about 2 hours down to about 15 minutes. So again, they're not a small, desperate customer, but one of the leaders in this industry. All right, so our go-to-market strategy In my time in the LBM industry, I was able to establish a pretty national network, attending leadership classes, conferences, and continuing education. So it starts with that founder-led drive. Again, I'm not a Silicon Valley outsider. I'm a guy that dealt with this problem for almost a decade and have established those relationships with these guys. So I have that credibility in an industry where it's typically a handshake. So the plan right now is to finish this, get this successfully launched with the Wilson Lumber team, and then pick up 5 additional product testers, or go-to-market partners in that industry first through their next half of this year. Additionally to that, there's several co-ops that are part of that industry, and they're ingrained and pivotal to the success of these small independent dealers. Those co-ops offer us an opportunity to make contact with large groups of our target customer, and in the second half of this year, we'll begin the process of establishing those partnerships and distribution channels. For phase 3 and beyond, we expand to builder. We expand to a builder product. Now, Constructiv AI started as a platform designed for small builders. We saw an easier path to market through this lumber and building materials channel, but the major opportunity in construction tech is with those small builders. There's nothing today that gives a small builder with a team that's on average between 1 to 5 people more agency. And so as we develop these relationships through the LBM dealers, it will give us more opportunity to have direct warm introductions to those customers to better engineer that product. So dealers first, builders next. Those, like I said, start with the lumber building material industry and have those warm introductions there that offer a larger product or a larger market opportunity with construction. But the goal is to get this really down pat and be really good at this one step first. So through researching the other products online, I feel pretty good about a projection of potential revenue per customer. Obviously, the goal with these next 5 is to really flush that piece out and really be ready to go to market with the commercial product. Right now, what we're really focused on is delivering the Wilson product to them, and then scaling up to another 5 to 10 dealers this year. Developing those co-op partnerships, and then as that becomes more sound, developing the builder platform. So the revenue models is per location software as a service with add-ons and an optional 10K white glove setup. So built for this. Right now it's just me, and I'm actively spent the last 18 months building and learning this product from a technical side. It was a problem I lived and dealt with directly and experienced in almost my entire time there. When I left this industry and moved to Wilmington, I decided that it was critical to also have the understanding of the software side that I learned from the construction side. I always tell people I started in tech, but quit my pretty job and went and worked in a lumber yard. And so taking that same approach, I spent the last 12 to 18 months learning coding from the ground up. I fully coded out the existing platform for Wilson, and more recently partnered with Gene Coast to start developing the commercial selling product of this MVP. So the sequence is, let's continue to prove we can do things first, and then expand out from there. I was the sales manager at Goldsboro Builder Supply, which is where I got most of my hands-on experience with this problem. in there, I was able to leverage some of the same techniques that we're baking into our processes to grow sales almost 700% over a 4-year span.
You have 5 minutes left.
During that, I was able to attend LMC Leadership Excellence classes and expand my network nationally at both Wharton and Kellogg. And again, I've been learning to code with the use of AI assisted coding over the last 2 years. So they asked, so I'm looking for $200,000 in seed money for this project for over the next 12 months to lock in those 10 customers, to establish the co-op relationship, expand our staff, and build a repeatable onboarding process. So again, thank you for your time. I'm Chip Phillips, and look forward to hearing feedback from you.
All right, who has questions?
Can you go back a slide?
Yeah.
Jim, I got a question for you. The Wilson building project, they're paying you $12,500 to sort of develop this. What's the relationship beyond that with the product that's actually developed? Do you own it? Do they own it? Is there a split? Do you have a partner based on this now with Constructiv AI?
Yeah, so they'll own this instance, but we've signed up, they have extended a perpetual license for the product. We'll maintain all IP and further development of the product. It's going to start as they will self-host it, and then as we develop that commercial product, we'll shift them over to that SaaS model long term.
We ask you to take notes when the mentors give you advice. Please take notes. There should be some paper up there. If not, I got more.
Anything up there to write on?
Yeah.
Keith?
I'm a little concerned about your ask of $200,000 and only putting 30% of that, so $60,000 to engineering, when you're self-taught learning using AI but selling an AI product. That's not enough. $60,000 is not going to get you a quality engineer, even really overseas. So just something to think about in that. And then a question I had from one of the previous slides, you said that your break even, I forget how many customers you said that was that 15 or something like that? So 15 at 500 or $600 a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was a different number. You had 2K a month, and then this, so, right? No,
Those two came on the slide.
There were numbers in a couple different places, so I was a little confused about.
If you go back.
those two places it says $5.99 a month, but at one place
It's like
It's kind of like
for your financial
AR or
projections.
something,
Yeah,
one cent
exactly.
away.
Yeah, so I was just trying to figure out what the right number was, and then just trying to put that toward all the economics of everything of, you know, what you're, how much you're bringing in revenue and what you're valuing yourself at and all that.
Would it have been better to, like, I guess, tie that together? So I think the idea, the math behind it was like our target customer has anywhere from 3 to 5 branches. And so I think the 600 was just more of an average than, I guess, what's the best way to, I guess in your opinion, do that?
I mean, I would, it's hard to say. I mean, you're probably gonna have to average it at some point, of, you know, based on what your market is, of the people we're going after have an average of 2 locations, let's say. That's looking at this amount. I mean, you're just kind of taking a swing at what your revenue is if you're not sure yet. But you should be prepared to say there are 135 locations based across these 75 potential customers. That, you know, that gives you a maximum, at least a ceiling of where you can go based on those.
Okay, awesome.
So can you go to slide number 3?
Which slide was it?
3,
Number 3.
like Dale Earnhardt 3.
Yeah.
All right. This slide was very choppy for you.
Okay.
It took you a long time to kind of get through, like, you know, when a python eats a hippopotamus, it kind of takes a while.
Yeah.
So I would try to practice this more before your pitch so it doesn't take so long to kind of get through it. I would also try to eliminate the handheld notes that you have. Try to not have that. I mean, this is your business. You got to know it better than we do. So
Yeah.
practice it until you don't need the notes. I want you to have more confidence. I want you to have more energy. Because when you and I talk about Ole Miss football, you don't stop talking. And then today was kind of like you're kind of chopping through it again. Like, let's have a flow and have a positive energy that even though you don't know the room and you're a little nervous, because I can see, the reason I know you're nervous is because I can see the paper you're holding shaking, right? So that's a sign that, you know, is this guy confident? So just all of that builds to your confidence, gives the people in the audience confidence that you know what the hell you're talking about. Fair?
Absolutely.
All right.
Scott.
I'm gonna echo again what Jim said. You're the expert. As somebody who struggles with public speaking and at one point was up there holding a piece of paper that also got grilled for having the piece of paper up there, I can sympathize and help support you in growing that skill set. But you know, when you look up at those slides, you're gonna be able to talk on each point. So it's not necessarily about hitting every word perfectly in sequence. It's about getting the major points across. I think that one of the pieces that resonated for me the most was how you grew sales almost 700% in this role to the customer that you're selling to. So you know the pain and you're helping solve that pain for your initial customers. It's that simple, right? You're there to solve a problem that you already know exists. It's a painkiller. Your financial projections are interesting. I think that we take that apart enough, but there's flexibility with investors on knowing that you're figuring out the market, what customers are willing to pay for the product and what the pricing is. But ultimately, your financial projections are what your feet are held to the fire on. So they need to be rooted in reality. And us being able to pick out differences in the pricing model and other things just in a presentation would be problematic with investors.
Is it better, like, you know, the rooms is it better to say, hey, you know, again, we're trying to get these 10 customers and then we'll have better numbers, but here, just to be honest about it, just say, hey, this is what.
You should always be honest about it.
Okay. Number one, be honest.
And conservative. I mean, 2 sites on average, and, you know, I guess it's more or less show your math.
Okay.
Like, you know, you want to be conservative, and if you can attract investment under a conservative lens and over deliver, then your investors are going to love you versus under delivering and then everybody's not happy. And I'll end it with like the use of funds, the Keith's point, you know, you need to build the product. Everybody realizes that. I like that you had the sales piece for revenue driving activities, but the reality is you don't know what people are willing to pay right now. You have a $12.5 kind of pilot contract with a customer. You don't know if it's going to be $600 a month or $2K a month. So emphasize that you're going to be getting these kind of lump sum contracts or annual contracts to build and enter the market efficiently. And then, brother, you need to be buddying up with prop tech and construction tech entrepreneurs.
Okay.
I can open up my network to help introduce you to some of those folks. There's investors that only invest in this space. Just like the CPG experts in the room, like this is a very, I don't want to say niche, there's a lot of money to be made, but you need to be talking to entrepreneurs and investors in this space.
Mr. Tom?
I was confused by this chart. Do you do all that? I mean, if you do,
I think just the
then
red
you should
part.
say, if it's just the red part?
Well, so the idea is that once these supplier quotes come back, instead of them having to manually enter them in, they could send them to our system and we extract the prices.
Show that, because I couldn't figure out
do you do the whole damn thing or
A portion of it.
part of it looks like you're saying you're solving a 2 to 3 week issue and you're cutting it down to 15 minutes, and then you go back and say, I've taken 2 hours and down to 15 minutes, or 3 hours down to 15 minutes. Kind of be more specific about sort of what the problem is. Really from what, and that I've got a little bit more inside information as I'm part of the mentor team with this company. But making sure that the people understand, we still got to send requests out to our suppliers, and it may take them 2 or 3 weeks because they've got their own issue.
Okay.
But once we get everything in to generate, assemble the proposal, it's typically a 2 to 3 hour process. But with this new platform, we can feed that information in and we can spit that out in 15 minutes.
Just to add to that quickly, I would only put timelines on things that you and or your customers can control. So if they're sending it to a supplier and it's 2 to 3 weeks, or it's a day because it depends on the supplier, don't put that in at all, because that makes it look like you're either able to solve problems that you have no control over, or that there are extended time periods that may or may not exist.
Go ahead, Matt.
Could you pop to the next slide? That was a wow factor for me when I saw this thing pop up. I was like, yeah, that's clean. It follows this whole thing of like, don't just bid, actually propose, like kind of sell a little bit. And my mind kind of wanted to see like, what did it look like? What does it look like before this? Because I'm not in the industry.
Okay.
So there was like a before and after, like this is the crap that usually comes out. Look how powerful this thing is. Second thing about this is that if you really are going from 2 hours to 15 minutes, and now go to the slide with your first use case, your customer. Yeah, that Wilson. Yeah. So what happened for me is like I started doing the mental math on this. You got 8 reps. I started going like, okay, well, how many proposals do they do in a week? I made up a number 5. I multiplied it by an hour and 45 minutes saved. I imagine that they're $50 an hour. So when you do that, like their ROI is like $175,000. So they're getting a better outcome, something that will help them close more deals, and at the same time, you're saving $175,000. So then you look at 12.5 in relation, if that number's a real number. Like, oh my God, that's a killing. I mean, that is an absolute slam dunk ROI for somebody like Wilson Lumber.
Then
So
you're undercharging.
undercharging significantly.
Yeah.
And the way that'll show up is if you've got a great product and nobody's churning, like one of the signals is, okay, I've got a great product, but maybe I'm not charging enough. Maybe I need to like bring that up towards that West Store pricing. The sorry, Rob. One of the other quick things that was gonna pop up was the other thing that was gonna pop up was the co-op opportunity. That feels defensible. Like everybody when they get to this slide is like, well, we're gonna do some sales, or we're gonna do some marketing, and we're gonna. And everybody's like, yeah, that's not unique. Everybody's doing that. It's super expensive. When I see something like that, it's like, oh, that's interesting. They've got a relationship. The relationship can lead to an unfair competitive advantage in the marketplace. So my mind wanted to go deeper on that. Like, how real is that? How much weight can you put on it?
Yeah, so I toyed with that last night because there's actually 2 levels. So there's these buying groups, and there's 2 primarily they're working with us. Lumber LMC, which is Lumber Business Merchant Corporation. They're based out of Philadelphia. I had great relationships with their staff, but they also went through and determined how to sign up through that process. And it's really like they would get a discount for their members, maybe a little bit of a kickback. But all in all, like it didn't add like pennies on the dollar to like a customer acquisition cost. The next layer is trade associations, and they're typically regional, and there's about 17 to 18 of those. So offering another touch point to partner with these same dealers, where they're part of this, but maybe not part of that.
Hey guys, we gotta end it there because we gotta sneak in a lunch between the next presentation. So you guys, John and Hoop, you guys live at this building, so you have time with Chip So you guys can continue the conversation, but we're gonna make lunch available. All right. So,
Appreciate
but